show these big bucks. It's hard to get them groomed right. It's hard to get them to operate and correct and really act right. And for this one to look like this, there's been a lot of time and a lot of effort put into those. To the two young ladies out here, they've done just an awesome job. We simply have to change this one in his feet design. He wants to splay out on that front end. I think when you set him in back there in that pen, in the way he handles himself as that forearm comes out of his shoulder, he kind of wants to swing out. I think a lot of that's to the fact that he's an older buck. He's got a tremendous amount of weight per day of age, but however, when you analyze that aspect of his build against the one that wins, I think we could certainly change it. And we've kind of, like Nick and Rusty, we've harped on that for the last 2.5 days. We're going to kind of stick to our guns on it a little bit. Structure has to be one of the foundation principles of our selection process. And I think if we could on that guy, he gets up there and comes up to the forefront of the class. But we love the muscle shape. We love the look. And we love the profile on this one from end to end and top to bottom. Congratulations to those two. Nice round of applause, dude. There's your senior champion and your reserve senior champion.
And results here in our Class 44. In first place was Roger McSwain from Cherryville, North Carolina, on RM 1601 Cowboy. In second place, Eden Bassford from Penville, Indiana, on EKB1 The Mystery Machine. In third place was Andrea Taylor from Zephyr, Texas, on Outlander. In fourth place, me and Megan Elwood and Sammy Lorena on KMSL Roy Man of War. In fifth place was Sammy Lorena, again, a live fan, Texas, on Party Down South. In sixth place, Justin Stewart from Sweetwater, Texas, on Boer Goats 2M Mellow Yellow. In seventh place is Garen Cooper. I apologize. I thought we were already done.
Well, I know there's a lot of people that have wanted me to quit talking all week, but I will give all these due diligence and go through them all. But I think we come down into a buck here in the third spot that we really liked. Obviously, he didn't have the size and scale of the two in front of him, but that one's to the ground. We could just extend him upward, maybe lengthen him out of the backside of his hip. That one's awful good in what he brings to the table as far as moderation in size, but yet still and a ton of power and superb on his feet and legs. A long and extended one that comes next. I think we could drop him down in his lower 1/3, particularly through that fore-rib and flank, and see some more natural sweep to that underline. We love the top side cavity, how he hooks in so correctly and so long and level out of that top, and he's got some extension up front as well. And he too, good on his feet and legs, just need to see more center mass. I think center mass and depth is the one that comes next. He just gets a little sloppier, maybe in the way that he's put on the conditioning. He gets a little wasty through that front 1/3, particularly down through that breastplate and chest. Not quite the true muscle shape that you see in some of the others above him. I think a buck that comes next, a gentleman there in the orange shirt has that we, again, we love the stoutness, the boldness to the rib shape, how stout he is in his open design. Maybe one, again, we could drop him down in that lower 1/3, see some more natural sweep and spring a rib through that lower body cavity. The next gentleman in the lineup with the shirt there is another one. I love the hip shape. I love the length and the levelness, just simply not enough power in terms of muscle shape today to get up any higher. A red buck that comes next, I think we could adjust him on his feet and legs, particularly off of those rear two to get him up any higher. But I love that length of body. I love the roundness to his rib as well and the extension out of his hip. A paint buck that we profile, tremendous amount of foot and bone underneath this guy. He simply doesn't have enough power off of those rear two when you watch him travel away from you. He gives up too much shape and dimension of center mass and really closes up the pinnings. And then a dappled buck that comes and rounds out the class. It's pretty unique in its type and kind, like the length, the levelness, and the hip shape. horsepower today from a muscling standpoint to get up any higher. But a nice way to end up our buck show. Real quickly, I would just like to say thank you to all the staff and to everybody here as exhibitors. It's been a great show. It's the last time you'll hear from me. So thank you again. Appreciate it all. Congratulations to all our winners.
Thank you. Thank you. I apologize. There was a break and I was on a roll. I was on a roll. All right, we're going to pick back. I'm only on lakes, the total show, and that was 2. I can't have any more. All right. All right, we're to number 6, where this is Justin Stewart from Sweetwater, Texas, on Boer Goats 2M Mellow Yellow. In 7th place was Garen Cooper from St. Francis, Kansas, on DHT. In 8th place was Brooke Huff Gleason from Coldwater, Michigan, on Gun One War Machine. In 9th place was Colton Fisher from Wiley, Texas, on Fisher Fixin' to Gig'em 2. And in 10th place was Jason Berry from Nanjamoy, right, Maryland, from TGB Boot Camp. Just like to let you know also that in that 24 to 36-month-old category, the ribbons were sponsored by Bass Livestock Nutrition. Also, there was a buckle for that class. Once again, that's the Miller Time Boer Goats and Myra Miller. And also then for that, for the Grand Champion Senior Buck and the Reserve Champion Senior Buck, the trophies that were given away, that's Rebar Ranch Travis Levings. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now showing for our grand champion overall in our full blood buck division. Once again, I'd like to introduce our competitors to you at this time. Coming out of your junior division, your grand champion was BMAC Farms out of Pink Hill, North Carolina, and your reserve grand was Dakota Ballard out of Roxton, Texas. Coming out of your yearling division, your grand champion was Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, and also Wes and Lori Peterson with Show Me Boars out of Neosho, Missouri. Your reserve grand was Caden Merriman out of Howlett, Oklahoma. And finally, again, here coming out of our senior division, your grand champion was Roger McSwain from Cherryville, North Carolina, and your reserve grand was Eden Bassford from Pennville, Indiana. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the big one. Put your hands together, encourage exhibitors to we name our overall national grand champion in our full-blood bucks. Ladies and gentlemen, while our judges are making their final decision here, we'd just like to recognize some people that we've had helping throughout the 6 days this year while we're here. So I'd like to recognize our ABGA office staff. We have Larry Duncan, Mary Ellen Villarreal, Aaron Gillespie, Sierra Martinez, Sonia Cervantes, Maria Leal, and Pam Odell. Would they stand? Come on guys, stand up. Give these guys a round of applause. They work really, really hard. Come on, Mary Ellen. All right. There they are, right down there. Thank you. Also, we have some ABJ office staff here helping here at the Nationals. We have Sheila Weatherall, Michaela Weatherall, Derek Weatherall, Karen Washington, Will Cornelius, and Rena Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause as well. Would you do that for me, please? And finally here, before we do one more deal, we'll just go ahead and recognize our superintendents, as I fondly call them, the three amigos, Mr. Jesse Cornelius, Mr. Robert Washington, and Jesse Kimmel. Give them a round of applause. Good job, guys. Good job. Once again, if we have all our exhibitors' attention back in the barn, we're now showing for that National Grand Champion. Just to let you know, upon completion of these here for our National Grand and Reserve, we'll go directly into our pairs classes, all of our specialty classes, best pair of buck kids, best pair of seniors, best bear kid both sexes, and the produce of breeders full-blood herd. So if you have any entries in any of those specialty classes, we ask you to be making your way to the holding area at this time.
While these gentlemen are making their selection, we'd like to give a special recognition to our announcer for the week, Mr. Kendall Brashears. Excellent job as always, and a great guy to be around. Thank you.
Once again, okay, we're exhibitors' attention back in the barn. We'll be wrapping up this National Grand Champion here in just a couple of minutes. If you have any entries in our specialty classes, you need to be moving to the holding area at this time. We'll be doing those immediately following the name of this National Grand and Reserve Grand. If you have any entries in those specialty classes, please be moving to the holding area at this time. long as I'm not jumping the gun a little too much, we'll go ahead and we'll do one more thing here while we're finishing up. Once again, I'd like to introduce our judges to you as I get ready to name this National Grand. Once again, our first judge here, he raises goats and cattle, works for Circle A Cattle Company, hails from Ashland, Missouri. Would you give a big, warm thank you, ABGA, to Mr. Nick Hammett? Our second judge manages a cow herd for Griswold Cattle Company. He judged the Nationals in 2013 and in 14 the Junior Nationals. Hails from Stillwater, Oklahoma, Mr. Josh Taylor. And here to talk our final set, he raises beef cattle and goats. Has been judging since 2007. Hails from Winder, Georgia, Mr. Rusty Lee.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure judging this national show. This is a dream come true to judge at this level, to judge this quality of animals that we've seen all week. But to judge with these two guys right here has been an absolute dream. These guys are, we've got along all week. We may have different decisions or different thoughts on which one we like or whatever, but we've been able to talk through them and reason them. And this is the way I think nationals should be. Again, I'm not trying to get on the soapbox, but this is the way it should be judged, in my opinion. We all three come from a beef background, while these two are a heck of a lot bigger in beef than I am. Beef, goats, whatever. It's meat background. We like a lot of product on our animals. And like I said, we've had a blast this week. You guys have been really good to us. I've learned a lot from both of these guys and enjoyed it. Josh asked me probably 6 months ago, if we get to this point where we can judge as a team, you're interested in being on a team. And I didn't have to hesitate to say, oh yeah, for sure. So I enjoy it with these guys. I appreciate you guys, everybody in the barn that voted us in to get to judge it. Definitely appreciate it. Folks, 2 years ago, I was superintendent out here, and I'll be the first to tell you, it's the hardest dang job in the barn. You're the first one in, you're the last one out. You're probably the most thankless job out here. But I would love to give these three superintendents a huge round of applause because it is the toughest job out here, guys. There's nothing fun about it. I'm surprised my feet and legs aren't hurting as bad. I would get a chance to sit down. We don't have to walk and as much. But when I left here 2 years ago, I felt like an invalid. I could barely walk. I hurt so bad. So I appreciate these guys and what they've done. When we evaluate these six here, we've talked about it, and we've talked about it, and we talked about it. And again, we've had some discussion. We've had them canter back and forth, which is what we like. We've kind of came to an agreement on what we feel like is the good representation of your 2018 Boer Goat sire for the national champion. All the way from the juniors, the yearlings, and the seniors, all are good representatives. So we wouldn't have a problem using anything on this front line. The younger bucks are a little trendier, a little newer. We expect that. They're the youngest ones. Yearlings are kind of middle of the road. The seniors, you see a little more of them, but you see, slightly more ruggedness, I guess you'd say. So you've got some different views. Even though they're all six great animals, you definitely get to enjoy picking the style you like and the direction you want to go, because there's a little bit of differences in them, but man, still some very, very high quality animals out here. I think we would be extremely happy with any of them standing as our national champion. And we don't take this decision lightly. You notice it take us a little bit. We understand there's a lot of monetary gain and a lot of monetary value, social media value. There's a lot going on what is going to be your national champion. And we take that decision to heart pretty aggressively. So, with no further ado, I think we're going to walk out and shake hands with your 2018 national champion, Boer Goat Buck.
And your national grand champion comes out of the yearling division. That's Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, and Wes and Lori Peterson on Show Me Boars out of Neosho, Missouri. Now, Caden Merriman from Hallett, Oklahoma will pull over as we show for our National Reserve Grand. Just like to let you know that the National Grand Champion buck, the banner and the bronze, is sponsored by Girard Co-op.
We used a buck that we felt like is kind of middle of the road. He's dang good. He's balanced. He's attractive to look at. He's so much product, long, deep, wide, heavy muscled, structurally correct. Just a really, really nice buck. So, that's what we use for our grand, and we kind of think about what we're going to use for reserve. Obviously, it comes into a 3-horse race at this point, but we felt like there was another buck that was extremely, extremely close to what we used as grand. We felt like this all day since we've seen him. In our personal opinion, it's hard to get away to separate a pair. We're going back to this yearling hole as reserve champion.
And your reserve grand once again comes out of that yearling division. That's Caden Merriman from Hallett, Oklahoma. And also, just as a reminder, your National Reserve Grand banner and bronze is sponsored by Rose Creek Acres. Ladies and gentlemen, now in the arena is our class number 50. This is the best pair of buck kids from there again from class 36. That's that junior group. So once again, this is class 50, best pair of buck kids. All right, our grand champion in class 50, best pair of buck kids. Your grand champion was BMAC Farms, and your reserve was Piper Fisher. Now coming in the arena is our class 51. This is our best pair of senior bucks.
Oh, no.
Results in our Class 51 best pair of senior bucks 1 year and older. Your grand champion was Caden Merriman, and your reserve grand was Shepherd Creek Ranch. The result here in our Class 52, this is the best pair of kids, both sexes represented. Your grand champion was BMAC Farms, and your reserve grand was Piper Fisher. Now coming in the arena is our Class 53. This is called our Produce of Dam. And in our class 53, this is our produce of dam class. Your grand champion, Addison Fenton, and your reserve was Eden Bassford. Now coming in the ring is our class number 54. This is called the Get a Sire.
Get a sire.
Caden Merriman. Scratch that announcement. The results in our class 54, that get a sire class, your grand champion was Justin Stewart, and reserve grand was Wes and Lori Peterson. Ladies and gentlemen, now in the arena is our very, very, very last class of all the show. This is class 55, Breeders' Full Blood Herd. Just wanted to let you know that when we finish this class, we have some special awards we're going to be doing right up here in front of the announcer stand. So if you're out here in the ring, also some of you in the back, we're going to need Wes and Lori Peterson, Piper Fisher, and Joe and Barbie Teal. We're going to need those individuals up here kind of where Jesse's at over here to the side for a few minutes once we complete this. But up here in the show arena, we're going to need Wes and Lori Peterson, Piper Fisher, and Joe and Barbie Teal. In our last class, in our 55, your grand champion was Terry Brown with American Boer Goats, and your reserve grand was Tom and Jackie Redden. And once again, we need Wes and Lori Peterson, Piper Fisher, and Joe and Barbie Teal. We need you in the show arena at this time. Once again, we got everybody here? All right. All right, if we can have your attention up here, we have some special awards we're going to give out at this time. First of all, I don't think they're here, but this is for the Full Blood Premier Sire that went to Aaron and Denise Crabtree. Let's give them a round of applause. And next we have our Grand Champion Full Blood Premier Exhibitor, and that goes to Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. And next we have, once again, this will be our Reserve Full Blood Premier Exhibitor, and that goes to Piper Fisher. And last but not least, the Donald Byrd Full Blood Premier Breeder goes to Wes and Lori Peterson. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our show. We'll see you in 2019 back here in Grand Island, Nebraska.